Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got some new cards to go and have a look at from Pokemon Card 151, and I am very happy about this indeed. We've got a couple of cards to talk about. We can start off with a new stadium, so let's start off having a look, and I am absolutely delighted about this. At Cycling Road. Now, this is kind of amazing. I love this. Remember, Pokemon Card 151 is very much based around, as the name might suggest, the original 151 Pokemon. It's Gen 1. It's Kanto. So it makes sense that we would get stadium cards and supporter cards, etc., that are very much based around Kanto. That makes perfect sense. This works nicely. I am delighted, and this is actually a really good stadium. I did a translation myself, but I checked with lovely Antoine Boulet to make sure I've not done a silly. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard one basic energy card from their hand. If they do, draw a card. Oh, that's firstly kind of good. And secondly, well, it's gonna sound a little bit familiar. It's going to sound an awful lot like a stadium that some of us were able to use a little while ago. It's Heat Factory Prism Star. Or should I say it's like half of a Heat Factory Prism Star. Heat Factory Prism Star, or like a third of it, I suppose. Heat Factory Prism Star said you had to discard specifically a fire energy from your hand, but if you did, you got to draw 3 cards. Which was clearly very, very good. But some of you wouldn't have been thinking Heat Factory Prism Star. Some of you would have gone back a little bit further and been thinking about Scorched Earth. Because Scorched Earth said you had to specifically discard a fire or fighting energy. And if you did, you got to draw 2 cards. So Heat Factory had to be fire and drew 3, but it was a Prism Star, remember, which meant you could only have 1 Prism Star of any type in your deck. So not just 1 Heat Factory Prism Star, but if you played that, no other Prism Star. And then Scorched Earth was a little bit before that. That had to be fire or fighting, but you got to draw 2 cards, which was pretty cool. Well, now we've moved on a little bit again. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's any energy, but it's only 1 card. So, of course, I do think it is fair to ask the question, and am I going to play this? Yes, is the honest answer here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Yes, they are. And there's 2 reasons why this card is going to see play. Firstly, it's Stadium Draw. It might not be great Stadium Draw, but it is nonetheless Stadium Draw, and that's going to be enough for a lot of people. If there's a particular stadium you really want to play, you ain't playing this. But the fact that you can draw cards, like right now, in terms of Stadium Draw, this is well, there's one other option. Other than shuffling your hand into your deck, drawing cards and ending your turn, which I'm not counting, there is exactly one option, and that's Tower of Darkness. But you've got to discard a single strike card to draw 2. So basically, if you're playing a single strike deck, Tower of Darkness, awesome. Outside of that, it's not even really worth considering. So look, if you want Stadium Draw, this is it. But it's not just Stadium Draw. Yes, you will get to draw cards. Yes, you will do so with a Stadium. Yay! But it's more than that. Because you're getting an energy in the discard pile. And it's simple little things like Melanie. Melanie attaches an energy from your discard pile, and this is good. And yes, I am fully aware that Greninja will let you discard that water energy. I know that's a thing. And we'll draw 2 cards rather than 1, which is clearly better. But it might be prized. Or, you know, you can do it twice and then get extra draw. That could be fun. It's kind of annoying because Fire decks also want to get energy into the discard pile in order to use Magma Basin to accelerate it. But Magma Basin is, of course, a stadium itself. So, not really going to work, unfortunately. It would be cool, but the whole double stadium thing isn't working right now. So, you kind of have to pick one or the other. And if you want to be accelerating the energy, you have to pick that one. But the point is, anything that wants energy in the discard pile, this is great. if you can accelerate from the discard, or, things like Baskia Legion. And I've accepted, kind of, at this stage that Baskia Legion probably isn't going to be a great deck. I wish it would be. I would be very happy about it. It's probably not going to be a great deck. Makes me sad. But it is a deck that does damage dependent on the amount of energy in your discard pile. So a deck like that is going to be great with this. Okay, and fine, I probably should have mentioned Gardevoir before Baskia Legion. Yeah, that's the real answer here, right? I mean, there's a bunch. Don't get me wrong, Wardeck's going to absolutely love it, as I mentioned. But Gardevoir is going to adore this card. Because, of course, Gardevoir accelerates energy from the discard pile. And this gets energy in the discard pile while drawing cards, which you need to do to set up in Gardevoir. And we know that up till now, Champions Festival has been just a ridiculous card in Gardevoir, and it's been very expensive and has made people sad. Maybe this is going to be the card that basically makes Gardevoir not need Champions Festival anymore, because now they've got another stadium that works kind of beautifully as well. Yeah, this is a great card. I'm going to 5 Wassies. You're going to see a lot of play for this. This one is amazing. And then we need to have a look at Aerodactyl. You see, the other day, I showed you Kabutops, and I showed you Omastar. But of course, we're talking about Pokemon card 151. There are not 2 fossil Pokemon in Kanto, there are 3. We did Omanite, we did Omastar, we did that line, we did the Kabutops line. But now, ladies and gentlemen, now we need to have a look at Aerodactyl. And I adore the fact this has been revealed in a museum exhibit, just like the other 2 were. Why? I have no idea, honestly. I don't really care, because it has been revealed, and that means we get to talk about it. Once again, I did do the translation myself and check with a lovely Anton Belay to make sure I was right, and the image was tweeted out by @PokeGetInfoMain over on Twitter. So what we've got here is a Pokemon Stage 1, but Stage 1 from a fossil, so bit awkward. And Free Retreat. Don't sleep on the Free Retreat. Free Retreat is awesome. 130 HP is fine. Single Energy 30. I mean, I'd say this a lot, but nobody cares. It's not a good attack. Let's move on with our lives. Oh, and I should actually mention that Old Amber was revealed as well. It's a 60 HP Pokemon, just like we would expect, but it is immune from your opponent's abilities. Any opponent ability stuff doesn't affect it, which is actually kind of a cool thing. Cool? Cool. But then we've got ourselves Aerodactyl. The second attack is what we're really concerned about here. 100 damage for 2 colorless energy. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolved Pokemon, devolve it by putting the highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. So if it's a stage 2, they go down to a stage 1, but if they used rare candy to evolve, they go down to a basic instead. If they're a stage 1, they go down to a basic. If they're already a basic, it just does 100 damage and nothing else particularly exciting. Sorry about that. I really like this. I really like this. Here's the problem, though. I really liked this when it was on Golurk. And I never got Golurk really working. And nobody else really did either, which is a little bit sad. Now, we do have the attack on the Golurk V that came around in Evolving Skies. I'm showing you the alternate artwork because, come on, it's Kato. Look how beautiful it is. And this one was just too expensive, frankly. I think that's pretty safe to say. It's just really expensive. 2 Psychic, 2 colorless, even as a single strike Pokemon, that ended up just being a little too expensive. Maybe one day it'll come back round in these single strike decks and I can enjoy it and that will be lovely. For now, it's never worked. But we did actually have it on Golurk way back in the day in Dragons Exalted, and this saw a little bit of play. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. It did 60 and you'd evolved. It was fine. It was fine. And like I say, saw a bit of play, nothing too crazy, but it did see a little bit of play here and there. The thing I love about this is that it's 100 damage, and you can pay it with a double turbo energy, And even though it then goes down to 80 damage, because double turbo reduces it by 20, 80 is enough to get most basics and most stage 1s. Some you won't hit, that's sad. But you'll get pretty much all basics, and you'll get a hefty chunk of stage 1s as well. And this is kind of awesome, honestly. Like, Gardevoir decks pretty much have to play the Curlier, the one that's got refinement, because it's a great draw engine, 80 HP. So if you attack into a Gardevoir, if they didn't rare candy, you hit Curlier and KO. And if they did, I mean, obviously, if they did, then you're going to be getting a KO anyway, because they'll be down to a basic with less HP. So this is going to KO a Gardevoir. Now, sure, it's not going to get 2 prizes. One thing that's really important with attacks like this, you don't KO Gardevoir. You devolve Gardevoir and KO Curlier or Routes. You are not KOing Gardevoir, so you're only taking 1 prize, not 2. That is a very important thing. We don't need a rule. I'm sure there is a ruling been made somewhere. We don't need a ruling. It's obvious. You're not actually KOing Gardevoir. You're KOing Curlier. But I'll tell you what, if you can't take out a 310 HP Gardevoir, which a lot of the time you ain't going to be able to, this is pretty gosh darn good. It's a stage 1 that evolves from a fossil, which is awkward, boo, hiss, etc. But it's essentially a single energy attack, at least a single attachment. And it's going to be great against evolving Pokemon, bearing in mind there's going to be a lot of EXs now that are evolving Pokemon. So, free retreat, 1-hit KO on a bunch of evolving Pokemon for a single energy attachment. Yeah. This is one I think we can get on board with. This is awesome. I'm giving it 4 Wassies, even though if it wasn't a stage 1 fossil, then yeah, I'd be all over it. But even as a stage 1 fossil, I think this could actually genuinely be good. And that's not something I say very often. So there we go, 2 cards, they're both great, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these, go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wasi. That's where we talk Pokemon card games, Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Unknown One, who's been a supporter of ours for a little while now, and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support, and for being lovely. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.